Personal log of Joshua Shaw, stardate 95035.49. Hi Des, so in my last video, I very briefly ran over a lot of what the Pottermore exam had placed me as. So what I should have done is I read all the descriptions about the information I had instead of making a video on a very limited knowledge base, and that is my fault, and I do apologize for that. So, moving forward, I'm making this video to not really rectify that, but to conclude what I should have done before. So, with that out of the way, I will begin with the house. So, specifically the Hogwarts house, as that's the one I have the most information about. I was classified as Hufflepuff, and originally we thought I was Ravenclaw, mostly because I was more knowledge-based at the time, and that could have very easily been true. However, looking at the Hufflepuff, it makes sense as to why I was classified as that. The top 5 characteristics that they portray are loyalty, patience, fairness, hard work, and truth. So I will begin with loyalty. One of the things that I do strive for is to be a very loyal person. I don't like people who will say one thing about someone and then to someone completely else say something different about the first person. That to me is wrong, and it's something that I avoid if at all possible. I also strive for loyalty because when I get older, I do eventually plan on getting married. No idea who to, so we're not even going to go there. But anyways, I want to be loyal to my wife. So that trait makes sense as to why I was on here, because a lot of the things I've been thinking of recently are work-based and future-based. So it makes sense that one of the traits that came out was a position of loyalty, because that's something I am still striving for and pushing myself to be that type of person. Patience. I have been told I am a patient person. I don't know if that's entirely true. I get very impatient when things stop working properly. However, I am very patient with a lot of people who I work with, of whom other people are not so patient with. You know, that could change in the future. I hope it doesn't. But that one also makes sense. So fairness, I think everything should be done fairly, and this is why I don't like streetlights, because it breaks my mind of what's fair and not. However, that's besides the point. So, I like things to be fair. I don't like things to be weighted against another person. Even if it's against someone else who I'm completely against, as let's say an enemy, I don't know who. That would be, I would still want the odds to be reasonable, not unfair. Hardworking. I have no idea if this matches me or not, because I am me, and thus everything I see is from my perspective. But I am told routinely take a break. Usually it's by some of the hourly guys who are in the same building as I am. Usually none of the managers have really said it. There have been a few times where I've been told, Josh, go get lunch. But anyways, so but it is something that I do see as a valuable trait in any person, is their work ethic. Will you push for something to be good, or will you just do it and come back to it later? If at all, you know. On to the last one is true. I do try to be open with people. I don't outright say everything I'm thinking of, you know. But in general, I do try to give a true persona of what I am. I don't try to hide details. I don't try to manipulate details like, yeah, I'm a hard worker, and then I turn out to be like a slouch or something. Or I don't try to say, yeah, I don't do video games, then I come home and play 3 hours of Dark Souls. I don't want to be that type of person, so I do try to maintain a true personality. Another thing that was brought up within the description of Hufflepuff, not just their top 5 trait thing, was that they're a very quiet group. They don't boast about what they do, and that's something that I'm quiet. As you know, I try to be quiet around people. I don't like bringing attention to myself. It feels very awkward. And I also don't like boasting. In fact, that's the reason why Mom had to do a lot of my resume information, because everything I put on there I thought was over-embellished. I thought was put on there incorrectly, and thus I was trying to take stuff off that Mom wanted to stay on and as is. So, anyways, that's the not Gryffindor. That is the Hogwarts house. I am Hufflepuff, and it, funny enough, makes sense. I am a very person, but I'm also very introverted, so it makes sense to me.
Just realized you fell over.
The Pottermore test also did the Ilvermony houses. And within the Ilvermony, I was assigned House Pukwagi. The Pukwagi are sometimes considered to represent the heart of a witch or wizard. It is also said that Pukwagi favors healers. So, what's funny is, whenever I read the wand description, it gave a very similar bit of information in regards to parts of the wand. So, since I'm speaking of wands, I might as well describe the wand as it's described on Pottermore. So, the wood is spruce. The core is dragonheart string. The length is 12.5 inches, and it's slightly flexible, or slightly springy flexibility. So in the Harry Potter universe, spruce is described as having its own ideas of what magic spells you should be using, and thus it requires a firm hand to utilize. However, after having basically linked with your wand, a wand made of spruce is intensely loyal to its owner and is capable of producing particularly flamboyant and dramatic effects. It's also really good for superb helpers, which is funny because with the Pukwagi, I would be much more likely to be a healer. So I do find that kind of interesting that those two traits interlap with each other. But the other part was loyalty, which is a Hufflepuff trait that I also would be giving off. And I find that kind of ironic in that the wand reflects both of those houses, so it makes sense as to why I have spruce after having taken the entire test. In addition to that, the core for the wand would be dragon heartstring, and unlike my previous video, I'm not going to make the broomsticks and doorknobs reference, even though I just did. However, I will more in depth go into what the core means. So, the dragon wands tend to learn quickly quickly as opposed to other type of wands that wouldn't learn as quickly when it comes to spells and learning. However, even though they have a very close alliance to their original owner, if they're picked up by someone else who has won the wand or something, they will shift over to there. And so the dragon heartstring core in a wand makes it a little less loyal, but I find it kind of interesting in that spruce would almost cancel that out. However, in reading a little bit closer, those two traits could still exist at the same time, because a dragon heartstring core makes the wand close to whoever owns it at that time. The spruce also makes it loyal to its owner. So if I lost the wand, and let's say in a battle, then the new owner would basically be the person who the wand would go to and be favorable to. The 12.5 inches is average. The description that was given was an excerpt from a book, and in that excerpt it just basically said some are longer, some are shorter. The shorter ones usually just have to deal with a trait as opposed to a physical trait. Longer ones are usually because the person's abnormally tall and they need something larger as a wand. Slightly springy basically means I have a flexible personality, and that like the wand, like me, could adapt to the situation. And it's interesting because that's another trait I have, is I can adapt to where I'm at, such as adapting to a slightly colder environment and dealing with people. The last one I'm still working on. So the last thing was Base Stallion, and unfortunately I'm not entirely sure what it means. The Pottermore didn't give a very much of a description when they were describing what Patronus's or Patronus charms do. Do-wise, it does describe that, but it doesn't go into detail as to what each of the animals mean. So I'm not entirely sure what Base Stallion does personality-wise, but I do find it kind of cool that it's a stallion. So anyways, in conclusion, I am sorry that the previous video wasn't up to par. However, I will do better in the future when it comes to stuff like this, and I hope this video gives a little bit more of an enlightenment, kind of as a self-perspective on it, and seeing like what makes sense, and kind of explaining how I got to the answers I got. And in all honesty, I do believe Hufflepuff is a closer match, especially right now. But as I mentioned in the last video, that could change over time, because personalities change, thoughts on the story change, and thoughts on your own life change. So, with that, I believe I'm good. So something kind of funny I found out while doing the research on this, I found out that the main character from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a Hufflepuff. So, with that, I love you, Des, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.